1966, China's communist leader Mao Zedong launched what became known as the Cultural Revolution in order to reassert his authority over the Chinese government. Believing that the current communist leaders were taking the party and China itself in the wrong direction, Mao called the nation's youth to purge the impure elements of Chinese society and revive the revolutionary spirit that had led to victory in the Civil War 20 decades earlier and the formation of the People's Republic of China. The Cultural Revolution continued in various phases until Mao's death in 1976, and its tormented, violent legacy would resonate in Chinese policies and society for decades to come. In February of 1945, the U.S. kicked Japan out of China during the Yalta Conference. They supported the Nationalist Party before and during the revolution. General George Marshall was the third party during the conferences, including Chiang Kai-shek, the nationalist leader, and Mao Zedong, the communist leader. The U.S. only continued to help the nationalists because they didn't want to be seen as helping lose China to communism. They published the China White Paper, which explained past U.S. policy toward China based upon the principle that only Chinese forces could determine the outcome of the Civil War. In early 1946, Stalin was trying to control 50% of China's industries. Stalin did not want an open conflict with the ROC, but Mao and the CPC decided to provoke it so that Stalin would be with the CPC wholeheartedly. The Soviet Union had direct trade with China. Stalin in 1945 through 1946 gave all the Japanese Kwantung Army weapons to the CCP. In 1947, Stalin gave China free pickup of the Japanese Kwantung Army weapons in North Korea, which was a source of supply for the communists initially.
As the condition of fighting in the Kwantung Army in the end of the Second World War, the Soviet Union got to use the right of the China Far East Railway. These areas refer to Chinese state sovereignty. Mao Zedong required the Soviet Union to return these interests to China, which was a crucial part of the Sino-Soviet Treaty of Friendship. This treaty, the Sino-Soviet Treaty, ended in 1969.
Beginning in the 20th century, China faced many issues. China was forced to enter into a series of unequal treaties with foreign powers: Great Britain, France, Germany, and the U.S. China was left humiliated and bitter by foreign domination. Japan, a significant threat in the region, defeating the War of 18. Other problems China faced. The Chinese economy suffered high inflation and corruption. China's industry and commerce were under foreign control. Large population started doubling in numbers in the 19th century. The lack of food, agriculture was unable to keep up with China's fast-growing population. On the May 4th movement, over 3,000 students from the 13 Beijing universities gathered at the Gate of Heavenly Peace at the Tiananmen Square to protest against the Versailles Peace Conference. The Chinese government expected a favorable agreement for Chinese diplomatic interests. The Treaty of Versailles was humiliating for the Chinese government. The provinces previously under German control were given to Japan.
After the May 4th protests, Chinese grew weary of a democratic regime and turned their ideals toward the Soviet Union and its communist ideals. This led to the formation of the Chinese Communist Party in 1921, who battled the Republic of China in a series of civil wars. The Chinese Communist Party eventually took control of China and remains China's largest political. Jiang Zeshi led the Republic of China against the Communist Party. He battled Mao's party in 1927 to 1950, with the exception of 1930 through 1945 because it was like during the Civil War. Despite having larger military and the aid of the rich, Zeshi and the Chinese Republic were forced into Taiwan in 1949. As World War II was coming to a close, Soviet Russia wanted to spread communism. China was in a weakened state due to Japan and the areas they controlled in China. The two groups are fighting each other for power, so it was like the nationalists versus the communists. More support for the communists and their leader Mao Zedong was given by the surrounding countries, and the terrible economy and hyperinflation during the Civil War played a huge role.
The Long March. In October of 1934, the Chinese communists broke through nationalist defenses and crossed enemy lines in their headquarters in southwest China. The trek lasted about 1 year, October 1934 to October 1935, and covered about 4,000 miles. The Long March marked Mao Zedong as the emerging undisputed leader of Communist China. The Battle of Shanghai lasted from August 13th, 1937 to November 26th, 1937. It was the first of the 22 major engagements fought between the National Revolutionary Army, the NRA of the Republic of China, ROC, and the Imperial Japanese Army, IJA, of the Empire of Japan during the Second Sino-Japanese War. China was slowly losing ground piece by piece, but their main goal was to stall Japanese advancement and get some sympathetic Western powers to help them, so it all worked out.